Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on The Flash Season 8. So we are finally back from this long as hell break that we had with The Flash, with episode 6 airing earlier over the past week or so, which was a surprisingly very fun episode. I mean, I thought it would be decent, but I had a lot more fun than I thought I would, with this episode as a whole. But of course, that episode involved time travel, which we do love to see, and just seeing some familiar faces, either that we haven't seen for a while or just familiar faces from years in the past in, various different circumstances. Like Barry in a coma, Iris, as a barista, Joe single and being ready to mingle, and of course Eddie being, well, alive. Yeah, he had a better outcome in regards to screen time by us going back in time. But of course, we know Eddie is coming back this season for multiple episodes after this first initial season 8 appearance in episode 6, but in what way? Now, that's for us to find out later in the season, but we do have an interview that Eric Wallace did with TV Insider about this episode and what we should expect heading out of it. Now, there is another interview that's out, which I will go over in the next few days, that is more about Season 8 as a whole going forward, but I thought it would be smarter to go over this one first, and then that one next, whenever it might come out over the next few days. But both are interesting and worth the read and discussion, so that's why we're going over them in videos. But of course, throughout this video, be sure to let me know in the comment section down below your various thoughts on everything we go over, including, theories, predictions, everything like that. And of course, you're going to enjoy the video, just want to show your support and you're excited that the show is back, want to drop a like on the video to do all that. So yeah, let's go over this interview, stop and have a chat when necessary at certain parts, and just see what is coming our way based off this interview. I'll tell you, you are always keeping us on our toes, because I did not expect the first episode back to be all Bart and Nora. This feels like a backdoor pilot. Well, yeah, I wouldn't go that far, but who knows? It's always been designed to, after the intensity of Armageddon, have something for the fun and lighter side when we come back. And what is more fun and light than these kids? So that was always part of the plan. Now, just quickly, I've seen a lot of people saying that this felt like a perfect backdoor pilot. For me, it was probably like halfway between your normal episode and then a backdoor pilot that we've had in the Arrowverse, like a Green Arrow and the Canaries. It felt about halfway, because those, led and carried by Bart and Nora, it still had characters from the Flash show that we know and love that still helped along with the story. So it was about halfway between a normal episode and a backdoor pilot. I said in my review for this episode, I was never really like a big supporter of a spin-off show with Bart and Nora, but after this episode, I wouldn't be against it completely now. I think it'd be sort of cool to see, even though I'm not going to, jump on the bandwagon and, sail with it to the next destination and cheer it along. I wouldn't mind seeing it at the same time. And it trips back into the past that we didn't really get to see originally. Yeah, so that's the inner fanboy in me, the one who used to write his own dark shadow stories when I was a fan. Now I am aging myself. But that is dripping over now into The Flash, with us saying what could have happened in between what we really saw after the particle accelerator explosion. They didn't include that. Wouldn't it be great if? And then just putting it on the air. Because if all these foes were born at the same time, isn't it awfully convenient that the Flash wasn't around yet? So that was really the question that we wanted to answer with the episode. Now that's actually a pretty good thing, because I remember in season 1, especially when you learn when the weather wizard whole, all that stuff happened, and, people got their powers almost like instantly and learned about them pretty quickly. I was wondering, over this period where Barry was in a coma, why weren't there like all these meta attacks that we learned of and all this stuff going around? So I actually like the fact that they addressed this, but also put in the twist with Bart and Nora coming in, that they sort of planned the idea of the metahumans and that it being a bigger thing and everything like that. So I thought it was a pretty smart idea to do that. I love that it opened the door for Rick Cosnett to come back as Eddie. He's doing multiple episodes, so are we going back to the past more often? Well, that would be a big spoiler, wouldn't it? I will only say this: no, we are not staying in the past, but yes, Eddie is back. I wonder how? That's a story. So yeah, this is a big thing that a lot of people were wondering, because I think in the initial article by whoever it was, TV Line or Deadline, whichever one it was, that said that he was coming back for multiple episodes, they said it wasn't more past stuff. That it was going to be present day, and that's where Eddie shows up. So I think we've all thought of something as to how he comes back. Is he resurrected by someone? Is it like a alternate Earth? Isn't Eddie like ripped from the past and put into the present? There's a lot of questions with not many answers, but I'm excited to see what they do with him. And we don't know necessarily where he filmed these episodes as well. He hasn't been seen on set since the episode we just watched last week. That's the only time he's been seen on set. So I don't know where he plays into the story, both location wise and throughout the season. It's a mystery, and I can't wait to see the answer and solve it ourselves. But they do go back to the Eddie thing by saying, so much was rewritten by Crisis, so are you hearkening back to that? No, this is a very, very different story. Again, no spoilers here, but let's just say Eddie coming back after 806 is not what you're expecting. So I'm guessing someone might be able to somewhat predict it, but definitely not be like solidified and cemented on what their theory is as to how Eddie comes back. If you have an opinion as to how Eddie comes back, let me know in the comment section down below, because I don't know if it's going to be a very simple one, like, oh, he's just brought back to life. I think that's probably a more easy and simple one. Even like a multiverse thing could maybe be simple and easy. So, I'm curious. So let me know what you think. He wasted no time reminding us how charming and how really likable of a character he was. He is a great guy. Yeah, he's a great guy. It was so fun having Rick back on set and with the gang. I remember speaking to him and saying, you helped create this legacy way back in season 1, and I'm so happy to be able to bring you back. When I kind of told him what our plan was, he kind of laughed and just said, I'm on board, let's do this. So yeah, he had a good time, and we had a good time having him back. I hope the audience enjoys the twist we're going to put on his character. So Eric Wallace, of course, is not spoiling anything here, but definitely probably putting some fuel into your theory engines. I don't know if there's a lot of fuel in my theory engine, because I just don't really want to get too attached to a theory like I sometimes do. So I'm just going to let it play out and observe and enjoy. Okay, now we get through this episode, which is once again the West Allen family screwing up with time travel. I appreciated Jay Garrick commenting on Barry's many mess-ups. So what is awaiting our heroes moving forward? Well, as I said, when Armageddon was airing, we have to solve Iris's time sickness. That's why at the end of 806, you see that brush disappear. I would remember that scene if I were you, okay? That's a pretty big clue that's going to come back later on in the season. She is still suffering from these effects, and they're going to have epic repercussions on the back half of season 8. So that seems like some juicy emotional lifting for Candace. Oh yes, it's about to get really hardcore for the West Allen family. So the time sickness thing with Iris has always been a bit confusing as to where they're going to go with it. But we know that Dion's coming back later this season. I don't know necessarily to what degree. I personally think he might be in next week's episode based on promo images, even though he's not in them. And also it looks like Iris is going to be dealing with it as well, unless I'm just misreading the promo images. But we know later in the season, by the looks of it, there's going to be a period where Iris disappears or something, because we know that Candace Patton took a break from the show from filming for a handful of weeks. So I think that's where you're going to play it out. That's probably going to be like after like episode 13 or something like that. So still a while until we get to that, range of episodes. But I am curious to see if it ties into the main storyline, one of the villains, or it is its own isolated thing. I think they'll probably try and tie it in, but I don't know. It started last season, so it might be its own isolated thing. It's hard to tell. That's for us to wait and find out. And is that the big threat for the remainder of the season? Oh no, that would be too simple. We will obviously explore that and resolve that throughout the remainder of the season, but as always, we're sticking with our graphic novel format. So Armageddon was the first graphic novel of season 8. Then we have our first interlude episode, as we like to call them. Those are episodes that are more standalone, and we'll have a couple of those. And then our next graphic novel will kick in at the middle of the season with an all-new big bad. And there will actually be another one at the end of the season. We're going to try something new this year with 3 graphic novels. We're going to see how much action we can pack into season 8. It's going to be a very wild ride, but I got to warn folks that what is coming emotionally is going to change Team Flash permanently, and I'm not kidding around. So there's always been this thing with Eric Wallace, which I can sometimes agree with, where sometimes he makes things seem bigger. Now, I think people sometimes refer to this with last season and some of the stuff said there, and even to a degree, some of the stuff at the end of season 6. But I think Eric Wallace has learned a lot of lessons in regards to, how to advertise things, which I think he did really, really well in Armageddon. Like, he actually tried to downplay it a lot and made it seem like it wasn't that big of a thing. It's just sort of fun. And it was definitely one of the more twisty and turny storylines we've had on the show since it started. So with this, I'm excited to see this format where we do have 3 graphic novels. We've already seen one, which is Armageddon. So, I'm not too sure exactly where this next graphic novel starts. Based off the synopsises that have come out, and we'll probably do a video on one of them over the next couple of days that recently came out, that I haven't done a video on yet. It seems like maybe like episode 9 could be the start of the new graphic novel. It could even be episode 8. It might be episode 10. I'm not too sure, but I would like it if these graphic novels had 5 episodes, because Armageddon, you could argue 4. It just depends on who the villain is, what the story is, how long it needs to be. But 5 episodes for Armageddon was such a good amount of episodes and allowed the story to play out really nicely. You either didn't have to rush it or didn't feel stretched out, just contained. It just felt like such a good number. So I wonder if that's the magic number if you're going to do multiple graphic novels in a season. 5. So if you have 15 episodes, example for season 9, that's being suggested, 3 graphic novels in that season maybe. I'm not too sure, but hopefully it's around 5 or at the very least 4 episodes for these graphic novels and not too rushed, or which doesn't look like it's going to be the case, stretched out. So I don't think we're going to get any stretched out graphic novel based on the amount of episodes left this season. But yeah, he says about, it's, what's coming emotionally is going to change Team Flash permanently, and he's not kidding around. I don't know, does that mean deaths? Does it just mean big changes that, to characters that we didn't think was going to be the case? And we're in season 8 with a lot of these characters, you're very attached to them, the ones that have been there since season 1. Like, if anything happens to them, you definitely feel it. So bring your tissues, maybe, not too sure. But to finish off the last question, they go, I'm already worried. Sorry. You have John Wesley Shipp back as Jay tonight, you have Eddie back. Any other friends of the show that you have lined up in the wings? There's one I can hint at because we just filmed with him. In fact, today we're filming with an old friend we haven't seen in several years, who I'm very excited to have back. I'm not going to say who, but I'm very happy this particular character, who hasn't been with us since season 1 and we haven't seen for a while, has come back. I tried to do a lot more of that here in season 8. It reminds the audience of what a wonderful cast we not only have now, but also throughout the years. We had so many incredible talents come through, so let's revisit some of those folks. So it's not just Rick Cosnet, it's a couple of other people from the past, one of whom I can definitely say will be back towards the end of the season. One of the things that I've tried to do with the last 3 seasons of the show, but especially this season, is to create that comic book ethic, which is there is a whole world of characters, so why don't we see them more often popping in, just kind of come through. You don't have to have a full crossover to meet somebody on your show who's been part of the same world for a long time. So it's a very deliberate attempt to kind of use that comic book method in television, because it makes everybody feel like, oh, this world really is populated with all these other people. Where can we refer to characters on other shows, or characters from our show from the past? It just makes it feel a little more fully realized. So once again, start your thought engines as to who this could be, a character that we haven't seen since season 1 and we haven't seen for a while coming back. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean it's a character that only appeared on The Flash. This could be a character that was in another show. It could have been someone that was in Arrow, someone that was maybe is in Legends. Well, Heatwave was technically in season 2, so I don't know if it's Heatwave. He was in the season 2 premiere, so I don't think it's Heatwave, just to use an example there. So it could be anyone like that, someone that, could have been, someone like from Arrow or anything like that. So I don't know who it could be. It could just be a villain from season 1. I'm curious to see who that could be. But I do like the thought that Eric Wallace has there about there's just this big world of characters, so why can't you just have a sort of little cameo just because they would just come through or something like that. Like, I always loved it on Arrow, for example, where Oliver would need something really quickly and the Flash would just run it to him really quickly. Like, it's something cool like that. Just little things. People might say it's just a gimmick, but it's also feels real. It makes that world feel like it's all connected and that those heroes communicate and get, favors off one another. But yeah, this was the interview with Eric Wallace. I'll leave the full interview link in the description down below if you want to, scan through it yourselves in more detail. But thanks for watching the video, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. As I said, we've got some more videos coming over breaking down, not really stuff from the episode that just aired, but just, once the show comes back, you always get this, barrage and, big truckload of information that comes out, getting us excited and just teasing us for stuff coming forward. So there's a good amount to come. So keep your eyes on, keep your eyes out on the look for all that. But yeah, let me know all your thoughts down there in the comments. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe and I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye.